Ah, Christmas. The time of the year we all, well, most of us, look forward to. It's hard to say what it is about Christmas that draws people in. The bright lights, the cold weather, the Christmas music, which is actually just the exact same song played in different renditions from different artists over and over again, especially if you have to work in retail where you're forced to listen to it through an 8 to 10 hour shift. Anyway, everyone has their own reason to enjoy the holiday season, but all have a different definition as to what Christmas means to them. Some will give the standard meaning saying it's about family. More religious people will say it's about Jesus' birth. And some cynical douchebag will state it's about commercialism and materialism, how the holidays are a glutton of corporate marketing to get people to buy more stuff. Congrats! You've made a point that 20 million other people have made before, and yet we still have to hear about it. Though, it's always been difficult to express how I feel about the holiday season. In some of my previous videos, I've tried to express myself, but it never really comes out right. Plus, with getting older, ideas and opinions change, so what I said then cannot be in the same context now. So, after a careful and long thought process, I think I finally nailed down how I truly feel about this whole Christmas thing.
You know something? I need to be a little bit more optimistic about this time of the year. Which is why I'm going to hold off on my whole philosophical meaning to Christmas for later. In the meantime, let's talk about the Grinch.
What's there to say about how The Grinch Stole Christmas? It's a classic 1966 animated special adapted from a Dr. Seuss book, produced by Chuck Jones and narrated and voiced by Frankenstein, Boris Karloff. Everyone knows the story of the Grinch on how he hates Christmas so much he literally tries to stop it by stealing all the presents from the citizens of Whoville. The plan doesn't work, the Grinch learns a lesson, gives back the gifts, and has a very Merry Christmas. I had previously put it on my top 10 favorite animated Christmas specials, and rightfully so. It still holds up as a great special, and I always look forward to watching it every year. So...
What are my thoughts on the remake?
I remember when I was 6 years old, I went to the movies, and the very first teaser trailer for The Grinch came on. When I saw this scene for the first time...
You're the
Grinch! I immediately started crying out in fear. Now before I go on, I'm not going to base my entire review on how the Grinch looks like in this movie. I'm just letting you all know, when I was younger, this guy scared me. And to be honest, he still sort of freaks me out. Okay, so the plot is in sort of the same vein as the original special, but there's more added to it. The first half of the film establishes a whole new set of personality and characteristics to not only the Grinch, but also the Who's. Instead of the Who's just enjoying the spirit of Christmas for what it means, they are more focused on the overzealous arrangements of decorations and presents. They're more obsessed with Christmas as to what's worth to them to celebrate it, as opposed to what it means to everyone else. Cindy Lou, who had a very small role in the original, is given a much larger role in this picture. She's overwhelmed by the other Who's obsession for the holidays and seeks the true meaning of Christmas. Cindy acts as the catalyst to get the Who's to understand what Christmas is really supposed to mean, even though she's less than successful at it. This in turn leads to the introduction of the Grinch. Jim Carrey plays the Grinch and does a terrific job doing it. The Grinch is nasty, mean, gross, and completely full of himself. Normally the problem I have with Jim is that in most of his roles it's just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey, but here he alters his method of expression enough to make us actually believe that he is the Grinch and not just Jim in a rubber suit. The actual setup to the Grinch stealing Christmas gives us a better understanding as to why he does it and almost sort of makes us feel sorry for him. But at the same time, it's not very consistent, as we are shown that the Grinch just sort of hates Christmas for the sake of hating it, as opposed to something driving him to hate it. Now, of course, because this is a kids' movie, there's always going to be that slight discomfort with jokes and gags that are only directed towards children and not to adults. However, there are a surprising amount of suggestive jokes that adults will get a good laugh at since they're subtle and their kids won't notice them. Well, almost subtle. Besides the plot, there were many nods to the original special here, such as the song You're a Mean One getting its own rendition done by Jim Carrey. However, one of the glaring issues I have with this film personally is its cinematography. Whoville and its inhabitants just look sort of bleak looking. When I think of Dr. Seuss, I think of vibrant colors, but here everything just looks sort of gray. Another glaring thing is that some of the shots will be shown at an angle. Now this makes sense when you have a character like mugging at the camera in a close-up to make it look more wacky, but for foreground and background shots it just looks out of place. This film seems to have a lot of mixed feelings towards it. For some, it's a nice retake on a classic story. For others, it's a horrifying nightmare with scary looking characters. It certainly doesn't help knowing that this film both won an Oscar and was nominated for a Razzie in the same year. But for me, personally, it still holds up. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a very silly movie, but not to the point where it's mind numbing. The jokes are still funny, and what I really enjoy about it is the new personalities that are given to both the Grinch, Cindy Lou, and the Who's. This gives the story much more of an arc when it comes to the realization of what Christmas really means to them. The Grinch is not the only one who learns the lesson here, even though he is the main attraction. In a way, this film is sort of timeless like the animated special. It's nowhere near as memorable, but it's almost seen on television as much as the original special is. What's there left to say except if you can get over the terrifying look of Carrie, then you might enjoy this picture. So after a year hiatus, why did I suddenly decide to review this movie? Well, I feel like it would help sort of explain my feelings towards Christmas nowadays. Someone had recently asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and that's when I realized I didn't really know what I wanted anymore. It's weird, when you're younger, you can think of a million different things you want, but when you get older, it sort of downgrades over time. So what does this have to do with the Grinch? Well, lately I've been feeling a lot like Cindy Lou from the film, unsure of what she wants and what Christmas means to her. When we're young, we have a set definition of the holiday season. We wanted gifts. I know it's selfish, and don't get me wrong, I loved it when my family comes over this time of the year, but come on, guys. What was more memorable to you when you were a kid? Dinner with the entire family? Or waking up Christmas morning and seeing a mountain of presents that matched the height of the Christmas tree? The oversaturation of lights, decorations, and music certainly helps stimulate the young mind as well. Though, when you get older and getting things starts to become less and less relevant, you start to appreciate the little things about the holidays. Instead of the bright glowing lights that draw the eye in, it's the slight nip of the cold wind across your body as you enjoy the winter night. Instead of the new renditions of Christmas songs which play constantly, it's the soft melody of a bell as you play in rhythm to the song Jingle Bells. Instead of getting what you want for Christmas, you go out of your way to find just that one gift that will really matter to those close to you. What I'm trying to say is that the meaning of the holidays will always change and develop over time as we do. It grows with us. It goes beyond the nature of getting things, decorations, and religion. The holidays are what you make of it, and for me, it's knowing that when I get older, I will always appreciate the little things, because they're so much bigger when they're revisited.
So with that, Merry Christmas, and a happy holidays to everyone out there. Will you be seeing me again? That's hard to say, but I'm sure whatever I decide to do, it's going to be fantastic.
Where are you, Christmas? Do you remember the one you used to know? I'm not the same one. See what the time's done. Is that why you have let me go?
I'm a Whovian now. Guess you weren't expecting that. Or that.